Timer sets. Timer sets. Timer sets. Timer sets. Um, very important video today. I'm not gonna joke about it, but this video is literally on how to build a time machine. It's very important to me to understand this, but I'm going to go back in time, not literally, but mentally first, metaphysically. So, what's my story? So, my story was I'm going to be looking around here in my room, just to remember better, how I did it. But, when I was born in time. I was born in time, My friends were being born in time. I was not born in space, I'm not born, you know. But in space, there is time. In time, there is space. There's time and space, When I was born, I could access all of time, all of the history of time. I didn't know what it was, maybe because of the genetic structure of what it was, but I was born in time. Like literally space time continuum, I could see time, I could go to time was an access, literally. It was there for self. I'm not joking about this, it was like time was there before space, There's a time before space. So we live in a time first universe. I'm saying to you guys, time feels like it looks like something, has a shape and a structure and a form. But when I'm born in time, I can access people's minds of those periods of time in history. It sounds crazy, but none of the medication, I'm pretty sure it's real properly. You know, so time is I'm just a good time machine. But once a baby, always opened my mom's womb, I was in time. I was a time first baby, so basically I could see, I could go to people, I could think. I reading about Einstein, Epstein. I didn't know about Epstein though. That was not my time graph, but my time graph allowed me to see people's minds, talk to people in time, and somehow manipulate the time through time trajectory curve in space. Because in time I could see everything that is everything that's nothing of me, of who I was to become. It was literally being developing for 1 to 3 months in time, 9 months, but this is me being telepathic before pre-birth, this pre-conscious, consciousness birth, But all this happened, and some of them were wrong, all this happens, I could have traveled, I left the galaxy, in my mind, pre-birth, pre-consciousness, because it was time didn't exist for me, It was all for you guys, I was I tried to go to Andromeda Galaxy, which is basically Andromeda Galaxy. I was in Milky Way, so I went to the edge of the Milky Way and Andromeda Galaxy, before, and then I picked a time for it. So you go to SpaceX, you go to SpaceX and you pick a time slice, if you pick a time you want to go to first, sorry, pick a time you want to be at first, or if you remember the time, you go to the space you want to be at, you then pick the space. But the space can be anywhere in the galaxy, or anywhere you are, your conscious can be in, because your conscious is entangled. Superpose pre-birth, pre-birth consciousness, I remember this because I've been a time machine. So, Obinix is how to build a time. Obinix is how to build a time machine. So this is the title. I'm going to explain it informally, without the maths, with or without the maths. But I'm going to give you my perspective on time. Well, time is an axis. It's a trident axis, and so is space. That means you have three poles: latitude, longitude, and altitude. You cannot jump time. You can jump time. You don't jump time. You superpose time. Time is superposition. Time is the thing that's interwoven into space. Throughout space time. You get time. You get Higgs boson. But the Higgs boson is a particle. Has a mass. It's I like to visualize the Higgs boson and think about the Higgs boson as not a God particle. We are the gods, so we are the gods. So we create the God particle for the Higgs boson. And the Higgs boson, as you can see, it is there and stable on the quantum field. It's all stable, and that's can operate in time. That operates in time. For example, the LSE experiment of 2001 in Germany, Munich, Berlin. I don't really know where it was. I could read all the information in time if I was there. With the I could go back in time and observe through some lens or someone else, through some classical observer, no quantum observer, classical observer, like a human being, feel the sensation of being there in time, being there first experience, that's what I mean, I'm talking literally from my heart and soul because it was a real experience being in time, you know. I didn't mean any gods or powerful beings. I didn't mean Jesus. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean Epstein. I didn't mean all these people, but I didn't know them. But they had their own consciousness away from my own. And I can see people that are here now. Time is still there for me to access. Because I never shut the door of my mind. But I don't want to. I don't need to. You know, I want to see what time is and what time feels like. Because this kind of time is how do we rebuild ourselves with time, in time. Because you got off time, but in time. The kind of classical power I'm referring to, the classical things that are not the constitution. These are things that interfere basically how to build your own time machine. The focus of the video actually. So let's get to that. So you get the Hinduism and the LSC, the large curriculum, and get a competency. So you can do time in two ways, three ways, three main ways. Put two qubits into basically to get no interference. First time to get no interference, you have to spin two qubits, electrons. So you got an atom. You get when you get an electron, you have two atoms. You can splash them together. You can get fission to get energy. You can break them apart to get fusion. So you got release energy. But you understand the fission and fusion and even processes, they create a release energy, not just they make energy, just two different ways to make energy. So if you have two electrons and I smash them together, at light speed, that's called fusion. I fuse them, that will create an invisible force that propagates outwards. This is out of time. This will be what is to expansion. And if you get fission, you get something, two atoms, two molecules, two atoms, and you break them apart, with some kind of indirect force, some kind of force, you break them apart, that's fission. Now, fission, the word release energy, with fission, is particularly, I'm going to say to them, is the release of atoms by breaking apart, and basically you have to implode them, implode. Basically, if you separate them, you are going to do fission. And fission breaks them together, releases a lot of energy, because then time will fold time. You get an axis, so you get a pole axis, so you get an axis of triangles model. So axis of the triangle. So the model I'm saying of being alive is consciousness is unilateral. You don't need to do it. Unilateral. You don't need to tell you. You're conscious, or you're still aware. So I need to tell you, it's distinct. It's a distant spin, because it doesn't spin. Distant means like you don't connect to anything else. So you don't connect to the Wi-Fi. You have to connect to a human being. As long as the space can hold your, or as long as the structure can hold itself, that system can be aware. I'm using conscious example because consciousness operates. You can remember yesterday. You can remember consciousness is a state of being awareness. Filter and flash, you're filtering, you're sorting, searching, flashing, you're storing, But the storing, flashing, and filtering, sorting is reduced from just such time series of consciousness or being a state of being aware of space and time can be measured. That's why I'm saying that it can be measured via the quantum physics, via observation and by an observer. Whether that observer is in the electromagnetic spectrum or in the classical spectrum, you and I say observe the reality. So you have one more thing on stage. You have my model of the Buffer needle. My model of it. The Buffer model is somehow accurate, but it's not fully accurate. So if you have lines separating the dimension is a sheet of paper, okay? And you draw lines across it. I'm going to do it right now. So draw a line because with the ruler, maybe I should do it right now actually. With the ruler, you know, and you separate them at equal speed, equidistant. You have a dimension. So, but you understand that you can control segments of it. So the precision of a quantum tunnel is based on segments. So this is a plane. This is a plane existence. X, say it's latitude, and you get latitude. You get an adjacent longitude. But this adjacent level is basically working curves. So they're meant to curve around the Earth trajectory, just like neutral along. So basically, if you got a gimbal is something that pivots, but they work on kind of the pivot of the stable. What is up and down of that system. North, east, southwest. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. The being a time machine requires can have antimatter, antimatter, but you don't need antimatter. You need what your system can hold. I like to think about time machine as teleportation because it is teleportation, but on an axis of latitude and longitude. Basically, the latitude and longitude are the curvature of the space-time continuum of the Earth, and that curvature of oxygen is the way what the GPS is doing. So the gimbal locks onto an axis, a latitude, which is this one, a longitude, which have the briefing needle, and the altitude. The altitude is basically the constant factor that separates the two. So the constant factor is the altitude. So it doesn't matter how much I take of a dimension, like a muon, which is 0.09, which you get a lepton, which is 9.8 meters per second. When you drop something to the ground, and a muon, N for Mike, U for Mother, O for Oscar, N for November, uh, which is again 0.98 meters per second if it's an apple. But the sheer dimension that the equivalent can't translate. So the trajectory of space-time is angular. You have to use angular momentum to determine space and time, space in time, time you're going to time first, because geometry is only time first coordinate system to space, time on the being for that space property. If you know what GPS, how GPS works, GPS works on latitude and longitude, and it can be misleading. If you go to the wrong place. But the perfect system is what's not dynamic. And the time, continuous measure of time, and that's where you get time. So you have the theta of time on a latitude structure. Now, the beautiful needle experiment shows that if I drop a needle on an axis, on a trajectory, on an X, boom, it falls at a constant rate, and basically, it divides the paper into pi 3 over the square root of 3 over 4 to basically it crosses the line 64% of the time it can compute pi. It doesn't matter how much you need to draw out, it's two thirds, and the third is 2/3. If you flip that, you have pi square root of 3 over 2. So this is get the imaginary units of the computer system, But that was what holds, The logic holds. So the square root of 3 over 2 is what I'm using to describe the shared imaginary unit of a system of a briefing needle. The briefing needle is kind of slicing of space-time into segments of dimension. So if this paper was like 5, this paper is in E4 standard paper, I'm holding it right now. It's basically, I don't even know the sense. So let's say it's twice as long. So let's say it's 15 centimeters 30, 15 meters width, centimeters 30 meters height. 2 to 1 like that. So if I then divide this 15 by 30 meters into 5 segments, let's say 30 centimeters. No, 30. Basically it's 15 centimeters by the side and 10 centimeters by the width. So if I divide height times width is 150 centimeters squared. If a piece of paper, But then I divide that by half. So basically, gonna half your dimension to understand that. Okay, so for example, half of 15 is 7.5, and half of 10 is 5. This half of the dimension is a ratio of halves. So I'm taking half a measurement, no, half a position of the system. I'm taking a full of the system. I'm going to, so I have to, so, let me give you an example. So to project yourself, to project your dimension, you have to, say I'm a 3D beam. 2D beam. I'm a 2D flat, I'm a 3D system, so I have a latitude and longitude. Latitude and longitude. I have latitude and longitude. But the latitude and longitude, latitude and longitude, I'm a 3D beam. Oh, 3D beam. So I have the GPS coordinate system. Basically, the dual system works on pitch rho, pitch yaw. But this raw pitch yaw is not, it's a raw pitch yaw. It's basically when you're moving, on a inclined plane. Inclined plane. Use rho means like theta. So if you're not moving, you have a static resolution. You have theta, rho displacement, theta rotation, displacement, and elevation. This is like latitude, longitude, and altitude of the system, but they are heterogeneous, homogeneous. So they work on the kind of GPS logic, which is a global position system in space time, in time space. Because if I was born in time, I could observe all of time. I am a time person. For me to be placed in space takes my time. So, because space and time, space can measure time. Doesn't matter the area or something. Space is time. You can have a 3D map of space in time. In time to vice versa. If you have theta equals to tan b divided by a, tan to the power of 1. B divided by a. Let's say b is b component is 125 degrees. Displacement is 25, and the elevation is 100. And you get this component A, and you get other component B, 273, sorry, 187 degrees, no, 273 degrees, 95 degree, 95, and 15. So let's say the maximum dimension is 200. Basically, it's a 2 by 1. So basically, its width is 200 meters, and 100 meters, 200 meters height, and 100 meters width. Let's do calculations here. So, this in turn would be 180 degrees, and 5 degrees, plus the tangent of 120. You don't have to see if I come to do the component of this, basically you're gonna have the kind of this determinant matrix you can compute with this, and now the tan inverse, the inverse tan of a system that's irrational. So tan inverse b divided by a. So b divided by a will be 273 degrees polar axis of a phase. This phase is basically what's in the axis of 250 degrees divided by but degrees don't divide, so you're gonna have a polar degrees. So you're gonna have modulo. So 225 will give you a 120 is a modulo because it's a modular limit. Basically, because you can't divide it, you can't divide degrees. You have to do modular. You have to do 273 mod 1, 2, 3. That's 27 degrees. 27 degrees. And you have B, you can have A. So 25 degrees, you get the first answer, you get 27 degrees, and you get 95 minus divided by 25. 95 divided by 25, which is 3.8. So 27 degrees, 3.8. And 15 divided by 100. 15 divided by 100, which will give you 0.15. So they share this space, but this is something you can hold in this context, and the context is 27 tan inverse. So tan, inverse tan will be arctan, and arctan is 1 over tan. So you get 1 divided by tan, tan, 1 divided by tan, to the power of to the power of to the power of the compound, because going in the reverse order, the bottom of the system, to the power of so you're gonna have times 27 degrees, because these are times the power of to the power of b divided by a, which is the power of 27 degrees. But 27 degrees and I'm getting the number 0.017 to 2 degrees to radian will be, let me see, basically this angle is in degrees, so this will be radians degrees, radians to degrees will be 27 radian, 27 degrees to radian will be 27 will be 0.014, no, 0.412389 2389 to the power of to the power of 0.4712389, and you have 6.737 713 or 6.737 degree radian for 27 degrees, times time. So now I do times, so I have to convert, so I have to do times pi times pi. Let's say the radius is times pi times pi, which is okay. Basically, I should copy this again. So I get times pi. So I get 6.73. So I put 6.73. So let me copy this number again, because I want the position. 6.73. 6.3. So I get 6.737. So 6. Okay. So I get in 1 divided by tan. Basically 1 divided by tan will give you inverse tan. 1 divided by tan will give you inverse tan, and tan times 27, which is the radiation, 0.47123. 27 times 2 is 454. So that'll be 0.9942477. Because 27 times 2 is 54. Yep, that's 0.94 times 54 r squared. So 54 times 54 will be that double it to 7 54. Yep, that'll be 54 degrees. Now 54 times tan 0.94247 times 54 degrees will give you r squared, and r squared will give you times pi, which is equal to 169.629 628 169.628 7, or 629, 629. So this is the rotation of the gimbal. So the gimbal has to rotate. So this locks onto a signal at 168, but it's a pivot to something useful. So basically, my timer is down. I have 5 more minutes of time to explain this. So 4 minutes. So 169 degrees. But the answer will be 169. So you're gonna have 3.8. So tan inverse. You're gonna have tan to the inverse tan 1 divided by tan to the power of b minus a, which instead will give you pi squared will give you 169.629 degrees and 25 point system. The system is not mixed up. So you get pi over 4 on north, pi over east, pi over south, but it locks into a signal. It locks into a signal of time. Because time is moving, so you're going to look into something. So this is a locking system for a gimbal to an axis of time. Because time is mosaic, time is constantly changing. The space around you doesn't change in reference to time. You look at space, you want space, but because time is because the fluid is expanding, time is the leading factor. I'll use an example. Basically, if you have a half of a dimension, you are half in a state of a system, but you're gonna have to do the other one now, Nambi. So you're gonna have 2.5, no, 25 units, no, 3.8. So you're gonna tan 3.8. So 3.8 is a movement. So 3.8. So you're gonna have tan. So listen, you're gonna have a scale. So this is about the axis you're on. You're gonna work on the rho pitch axis. We're gonna have a reflection model of system. Chicago rotation, also reflection, rotation, reflection, enlargement or scaling up and down, and rotation reflection, and enlargement. This is a works in kind of geometric figures of enlargement. So rotation of a lattice. So you put a lattice, that's the signal that gives you a meaning. So you're gonna have the muco. You're gonna have muco noise in the system. Muco, and you're gonna filter out. Because you're gonna have a conjugate filter like 2 to the power of 3, 2 divided by 3, 64%. 2 divided by 3 is 0.66667. But so I'm gonna have the set 3 square root of 3. So you're going to have you understand that you have to get a bearing system, bearing. So the bearing will allow you to give you the full conjugate model too. So you're gonna have a bearing. So take a bearing, which basically means you have pi over 4. And you start facing north. North is time, north is where time is, and you turn right. Right is 90 degrees. Right or being north, east, southwest is a bearing, and you go over 180. You divide over 180, which is maximum units. You have a bearing of a system of linear equation, and you can also take a measurement of the bearing of the anything that, so you can have a concession model. So you can have anything that holds is a signal. Anything you can hold in your reality is a signal. Example, you can't take 0. You can take anything dimension you take to the power of -1. That doesn't mean anything. You share consideration between the operation of rotation, reflection, and axial symmetry via the axial geometric lattice of axial symmetry. So it's meant to look into a signal of time. And you can observe that space in time at that time. If you record it, you can record it definitely. But time travel means teleportation and to teleport, like to teleport. So teleportation is destroying information and creating it, but you don't want to destroy something with fission. Basically, fission is unsafe because fusion is unsafe because you destroy something raw. If those things back together in the raw, you need to split apart and build them together. So that's what fission is prioritized. Kind of framework of holding. So it's a time machine, but it's a certain time machine that works on the axis of holding something. You have something to hold that you never have to hold. Reality was designed to hold people, hold something, not hold you to contain something. It's not meant to be void. That's why reality exists. That's why the fabric space is a wolf. That's what it exists. Thank you guys for watching this video. Like, share, and subscribe if you want to. I love you too. Like, share, and subscribe.